So the pituitary gland is the master gland of the body. It's a little pea-shaped gland that sits right at the base of the skull. And right above it are the optic nerves. So unfortunately, if the tumor grows upwards, as it did in Mrs. Lester's case, it puts pressure against those optic nerves, and you can actually go blind from these tumors. The tumor is located right over here at the base of the brain. This white thing is the tumor. The optic nerves would normally be over here and here. They're pushed up and to the side by this tumor that's grown up into the brain. The bigger they get, the more serious it becomes, because there's many structures in a small space that are critical to brain function. You have the main arteries, the carotid arteries going up, supplying the blood supply to the brain. You have the nerves that control eye movements, and then you have the vision nerves themselves. Right behind the pituitary, you have the entire stem of the brain. So as these tumors grow, they press upon a lot of very important real estate. And one of the critical parts of this operation is that these structures here, these little black dots, are the main arteries of the brain called the internal carotid artery. So particularly on this side, on the left-hand side, the tumor is sort of like a C around the artery. So as we remove it, there's a risk of tearing the artery and having a stroke. But of course, all these specialized techniques that we have, high resolution, lots of micro instruments, enable us to do that without that happening. This is an interesting instrument. You can position this endoscope, let go of it, and it's going to stay. So this actually adds a third hand to surgery. Many times when we do endoscopic surgery, you're holding the endoscope with one hand and working with the other hand, and as steady as your hand is, you can't hold it precisely still. So sometimes we have an assistant who's holding it, and even that assistant can't hold it as still as you'd like to. So this thing, as simple as it is, it's just a pneumatic arm, has really revolutionized our ability to put this thing in, keep it at the right position, and continue to do the surgery. So it's a fairly high-risk procedure. We're going to come up through the nasal passages to the base of the skull using this endoscope that's only 2.8 millimeters in diameter, about 1/10 of an inch. It has 1080p high-def resolution on our screen. So what we're going to see is a very precise, crisp, and clean image, helping us go somewhere where, number one, it's hard to get to, number two, it's hard to see. So we're enhancing all of our abilities with this technology. All right. So now what we're doing is we're entering into the sinus. We're removing the bone at the base of the skull at the beginning of the sinus, and then inside the sinus is going to be the floor of the cavity where the pituitary sits. One of the things when you watch this is that it looks terribly bloody. Of course, this is microscopic amounts of bleeding. If you do a blood count at the end of the case, you can't even tell there was any blood loss, but when you magnify this up, it looks god-awful. This operation capitalizes on several different technologies. One is the minimally invasive way of taking this tiny endoscope and getting exposure, which has a very wide field of view, but not necessarily 3 dimensions, and then putting the microscope in, which is a high-resolution 3-dimensional machine. So we're going back and forth, taking advantage of the best of both technologies. These are both tools that are helpful to us as we progress through the operation. It's so very important to have a good team of people to work with you. So the people in this room have probably done hundreds or maybe 1,000 of these procedures with me. And it makes a very difficult thing very easy. And so it's really a whole team of people that make this a success, not just the surgeon. Using this technology, even though there's a big tumor, her pituitary gland is still there and flattened, and we're able to actually separate the tumor from the gland, preserve the gland so she'll still have normal hormone function. In the past, it used to be we would just have to take the whole thing out because our ability to do that separation didn't exist. So one of the challenges was to get this tumor off the artery. Could we do it? Would it tear? Could we get it? We're right up against the vein in the artery. The tumor is peeled away very cleanly. We can see the naked vein and artery completely intact. Very good outcome. We're lucky. So it's gone extremely well. There have been no problems, no complications, and we've saved her vision. But she's going to be good. Hello! Your pituitary gland, I was able to save it. I actually peeled the tumor off of it.
Yeah.
But for a period of time,
I'm surprised that it was this easy. It's been a really good experience, fairly quickly out of ICU. Now I'm resting in a regular room and ready to go home tomorrow.
Let's look at your MRI because it's quite remarkable. So what you see here is a comparison of your MRI scans from before and after surgery. So here's this tumor. The normal pituitary would be about this big, growing way up into your brain. Your optic nerve, there should be somewhere here that pushed way up.
So this is a tumor?
That's the tumor. Here you are now, gone. This is the sinus. This is the little rim of pituitary. Here's your optic nerve just floating.
Perfect.
We preserve the normal pituitary gland, and the fact that you still feel good and you're not, feeling sluggish means your pituitary hormones are working. I mean, we want to get them checked, but I can tell you that they're working, or you wouldn't feel that way. But basically, you had a brain tumor that was going to take your vision, make you blind, and now it's done.
I mean, you saw I was up and about the very next day, and I think I was more worried than I was more afraid of the surgery, and it was really simple.
Right.
Okay, thank you,
Great
Dr.
news.
Vasquez.